thank you so much for joining us with the Underground Gospel Show. I'm just wondering if I have any audio coming through at all. There's really no way to tell because I had to do some readjustments. We had some technical difficulties. Basically, I had somebody come in and say, "Yeah, we can actually hear you like blocks away," and I'm like, "Didn't realize I was that loud." Anyway, so I've done some lighting adjustments. I've done some so I look nice and tan right now. Trust me, I'm not tan. I'm still Mazunga. I'm still very light skinned individual. Anyway, but I'm now it's strange trying to work in here and try to get the lighting right. We're still brought to you this week by episode or by um, verse Matthew 28:19, and that is where Jesus said to go to all the nations. And so we're talking about missionary and missionary trips. I'll be telling you a couple of stories. One of my favorite stories about a little guy named Eddie. Um, but first, welcome. Thank you so much for being here at the Underground Gospel Show. Thank you so much. This is a safe place, a place where you can enjoy. If you're interested in becoming a missionary, if God has put that on your heart, remember Jesus said, "Go, go back to part one. Go back to part one and watch that show." And it's about 30 minutes long. And then can jump back here and hear some more about my trips around the world. So I'm going to tell you about a little guy by the name of Eddie who I met in Uganda. Once again, he was in Africa. Now, I've been in Africa to Uganda and Kenya and Tanzania and Ethiopia, and think uh, I think that's it. There are some places in northern Africa I still would like to get to, and one of the places is a place called Sai Sain. Oh my gosh! Now I'm not going to be get that name right. Oh my God, Simon of Sain, because he's like the only person I identify with in the Bible. There's two people. There's two people that I identify with, and Simon of I want to say Sain, but that's I don't for some reason I'm just not seeing that. I'm I'm going to have to look that up in a second. But anyway, he was the guy who was basically standing there minding his own business when Jesus came by with the cross and Jesus fell, and so the Roman soldier said, "Pick up his cross and carry it." And he's like, "Nah, I'm just here to watch the parade." And he's like, "No, no, no, pick up the cross and carry it." And why can't I remember that name? Oh my gosh, it's just I want to say Cyrene, Cyrene. Okay, now that's bothering me. Hold on, I have to look it up. I'm going to Google it real quick here while you're watching me. Simon of Cyrene. Yeah. Anyway, so Simon of Cyrene. I was right. Huh. I should know because I identify with that guy. See, he wasn't wanting to carry the cross. He was just kind of like, watch the parade go by and just have nothing to do with anything. And all of a sudden he's carrying the cross. Kind of like me. Just wanted to watch the parade go by and all of a sudden I'm carrying the cross. And there's like another character. Everybody's in, women are always like, "Oh, I identify with Ruth. Oh, I would love to be like Mary. Oh, I'd love to be like, Philip Esther." I mean, you never hear anybody who says that, they want to be, oh, what's her name? The woman who cut Samson's hair. But needless to say, you have all these people in the Bible, and you have men. I would love to be a man like David, or I want to be a man like Paul. And me, I'm like that little lamb who just keeps falling off the ledge. And Jesus said, that he would leave the 99 to go pick up that one. Hello, I'm the little lamb. Yeah, night here. I'm the little lamb who falls off the ledge. So those are two people I identify with. The guy who was just watching the parade go by that ended up having to carry the cross of Jesus. Okay, that's me. And the other guy is a little lamb that falls off the cliff all the time that Jesus has to come rescue. That's me. So those are the two guys. If you want to know that you're listening to, that's who you're listening to right now. Anyway, so this is a safe place. If you need some more information about what I'm doing, go to night-music.com. I got a little scroll going across the bottom that will tell you where to go to, night-music.com, and I have show times and sponsorship information. If you'd like to send me a cup of coffee, that'd be great. We have a Discord page and a Patreon page starting really soon. Patreon's up if you want to send me some money. That would be great. If you don't, that's okay too. It's not like I really need it. We're doing just fine. God provides all my needs. His grace is sufficient. And you know what? He basically hooks up his the people who work for him. So all I can say we're blessed. Um, I'll talk about tithing on an upcoming. Oh, I can't wait to do that. That's a great thing. So I'll talk about tithing and how that all works and blessings in an upcoming episode. We're doing themes right now, so this is the first theme that I've done, and it's about being a missionary. If you've been on your heart to be a missionary, you should go do it. In fact, I'm going to do a little song now that a lot of people do in the mission field. So I hope you enjoy it. Kumbaya. And that's the little story I was going to tell you about for Eddie. We went down to Rakai in Uganda. And Rakai is where AIDS, actually, the first reported infection of AIDS started. And so we were down working at a orphanage down there. And while we were down there, this little boy, he, well, we were down there and they're doing some songs. Now, Uganda is a very interesting place. They were owned by the English for 700 years. And no English person that we know of was given a Ugandan name. I went like 3 or 4 times and I got the name Shamakola, which means a person who brings understanding to the people, because of the fact that I was able to go there and actually work with sound and clean up their sound. Because when I first got there, and so I would work with gain structure and EQ and make it sound like you can hear this right now. Needless to say, so I got the name Shamakola, which is once again person who brings understanding to the people. So, but I've been a musician all my life, and so we were down there, and the English basically did not allow them to have musical instruments. Well, then they were given freedom from England, and they had this person by the name of Idi Amin, and Idi Amin allowed music, so people started playing instruments, and people started, becoming musically inclined, creative. They became creatives. Needless to say, with musical instruments, so people got instruments and learned how to play. Well, about 7 years into his 14-year reign, he became Muslim. And once again, as a Muslim, he said, yeah, we're not going to have instruments anymore. So they took away all their instruments. And he's just slaughtered a bunch of people, especially the Christians. So you weren't playing Kumbaya a whole lot. In fact, I have friends that were at that time and actually shot and left for dead by Idi Amin that I know in Africa. But anyway, so uh, after Idi Amin's rule, they went through a civil war trying to figure out who the new leader was going to be, and that went on for about, oh my goodness, it went on for a long time, and basically about half the men in Uganda were killed. Okay, then they had AIDS pop up, and so that's why the average male age in Uganda is 13 years old, because there's very, very, very few men. So as a man going to Uganda, especially being light skinned, or Muzunga, what is what they call the light skinned people, white people, and so we went there as Muzunga, and it, they just don't have a lot of men there, So lots of women, not a lot of men. Needless to say, so I went there and went down to Rakai, and they were playing drums. I like playing drums. I know how to play the djembe, so I went over and I started playing, and it freaked everybody out. I mean, they're just like, there's a Muzunga and he's playing African drums, And so I mean, it was a very unique. I think I'm the first white person they ever saw that played anything besides Kumbaya, to tell you the truth. And so we're playing African drums, and I'm just having a good time playing the drums. And so this next song comes, and I start playing again, and I play, and so this little boy walks up to me, goes, Muzunga, this is a different song. It has a different rhythm. And so he showed me the rhythm, and so I played it, and I'm like, oh, and he's like, you play African drums very well. And I'm like, well, thank you. And so I played the song with them, and so we're having a good time. I like a drum circle. There's like, I don't know, there's like 50 dancers and maybe 10 drummers, and so it was really fun. Anyway, so then they had a different song, and so I went ahead and started playing once again the same rhythm that I had played before. And he's like, um, Bazunga, this is a different song. You need to play this rhythm. So he showed it to me. So I reached up and I picked up this smaller djembe with a bigger head, so it's really deeper. And so I started playing it on that. And he goes, not on that drum. That drum you play one. You just play one. What's wrong with you? I'm like, I'm being schooled on drums by like this 8-year-old African kid. It was like totally cool. So anyway, I just played one, in the downbeat, and so he was happy. I was happy. He was playing drums, and so we're involved. Anyway, come to find out later on, he comes up to me. He goes, Muzunga, I'm kind of new at this school. I've only been here for a week. He goes, and I haven't had any water. He goes, would you be able to like maybe get me some water? I'm like, yeah, sure, here. And I went in my backpack and gave him a water and said, I said, here, drink it. Just drink the whole thing down. And I said, well, let me get you another one. So I gave him another one, and they drank some of that and saved the bottle. And I'm like, you're not going to get in trouble. I said, if anybody gives you a hard time about having a bottle of water, come let them talk to Muzunga. Send them over to me. I'll straighten them out. And he says, thank you very much for your kindness. It's so great. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. And anyway, later on that night, we were going to go visit a little African village, and so um, we get in the bus and we're driving away, and I look behind us, and there's Eddie, the little boy. I mean, the little boy they gave water to, and he's just running. Now there's red dirt flying up, okay, and he's probably, I don't know, maybe 6 car lengths behind the bus, and there's just dirt, red dirt, just a cloud, and you can just see him with a big smile on his face and his eyes, and he's just running behind the bus in the dirt, and I'm like, guys, why is Eddie following us? And they're like, oh, well, we're going to his village. I'm like, stop the bus. Okay. Can we have Eddie please ride in the bus? And so they stopped the bus and they're like, well, yeah, but that's not normal for the kids, the orphans, to actually ride in the bus. This is for the Mazungas. I'm like, okay, once again, are we going to have a talk with Mazunga? Because open the bus and let it again. Anyway, so they opened the bus, and Eddie came in, and he was just like, and he knew basically the Africans don't ride in the buses. It's basically for the Muzunga. And so I mean, and we talked to him and all that, and we went to his side. He was so proud, so happy that we were going to his village. And so we went to his village, and we met his mom, we met his grandmother, and basically told us a story. He said that his older sister was about to be married. Um, Hold on a second. I have somebody knocking at the door, and I don't know how to actually break out of this. So I'm going to hit mute and hit technical difficulties. and I'll see if I can edit that out. Where am I? We're back. So anyway, telling you a story about Eddie. So anyway, I meet his mom, and he goes, "This is, he says something, and you got Lugandan to him, and so she's like, she falls on her knees and just like, and I took to talk to the interpreter. I said, would you please have her stand up? This is no big deal. And so he stood up. Oh, I was telling you about his sister. So anyway, Eddie had a sister. She was like 14 years old, and she was engaged to be married to this man. Now in Uganda, they're marriage, polythenic, whatever it's called, but polygamous. Anyway, so they have multiple wives. You have one top wife, and up to three or four bottom wives, and then she was going to be one of the wives for this man. Anyway, so she was engaged to be married, and they gave her like a three rabbits and a goat and five chickens, and it was really funny because they also gave her a case of Orange Crush, and so they paid the dowry. And I just thought a case of Orange Crush to buy a wife was pretty funny. Anyway, so but before she was married, she got a toothache and she died. And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, my sister, she got a toothache, and before she could go to clinic, she died. And I'm like, wait, your 14-year-old sister died of a toothache? And she goes, yeah. And it was just like, yeah. It's like, um, yeah, that's not right. And it's like, yeah, she's buried right there. And it's like there's this like little indentation in the ground, and it's like literally like 5 feet from the front door of the hut. And I'm like, wait, your sister is buried right there? It's like, oh yeah, we buried her because she died because she had a toothache. And I'm like, and the interpreter was like, yeah, this happens a lot in Africa. If you get an infection, sometimes it can get really bad, and you'll die like overnight. I mean, just like overnight. Freaked me out. So the mom is like, you showed such great kindness to my son by giving him a bottle of water. We're very poor, but I do have three chickens. Would you take one? And so she picked up a chicken and gave it to me. And I'm like, holding this chicken. And I'm thinking, okay, honestly, I'm not going to get this passed through customs. Okay, first off. Secondly, I'm vegetarian, and so I had the interpreter explain to her that this was, of all the honors I've gotten in my life, and there's been a few, of all the honors I've gotten in my life, this might be the greatest one I've ever had. Is receiving a chicken from a mother in Uganda who has just lost her daughter, had to give back all the dot and gave it to me because I gave a bottle of water to her son. Okay. Anyway, so I said, but I'm a vegetarian, and where I live in America, we're not allowed to keep chickens because I had an apartment. And so, but I wasn't laughing. I mean, I was doing this with all seriousness. But coming back on it, it's like, guys, they gave me a chicken for a bottle of water. Okay. And so I gave her the chicken back. I said, please keep it. If you want to call it art, and, please, remember me when you eat it. But I'm not taking a third of your wealth for a bottle of water. I mean, that's just not how it's working. Anyway, so I wanted to tell you the story of Eddie. And I'm 20 minutes into this. Well, wait, we had a break, so I'm going to edit out the break if I get a chance. Might leave the break in. If you're watching YouTube if you're seeing this live stream on tomorrow night, you probably will see the break. If you're watching this on YouTube in the future, there's probably going to be this little blip. Anyway, that was a commercial interruption. Anyway, so let me do another little song. This is a song about Eddie, though. And I can't think of a better one about him, though. Yes. I forgot that joy, 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 joy down in my heart. And that is that's something that Eddie really have had. I came back from Uganda, um, and we had gone in the wintertime, and I'm not a big fan of winter at all. And we got back here, and it was snowing in Nashville, and at that time I had a Firebird, and was driving up a street called Briley Parkway, and there's a part that goes up a hill, and it had snowed. This flash storm had shown up and dropped about uh, 4 inches of snow, and so I'm driving up, and I got to this one part, and I'm like, okay, as long as I can keep momentum, I can make it up this hill. Well, the car in front of me stopped. And then he started up his four-wheel drive. And four-wheel drive, it's like, well, I can make it up any hill. Well, four-wheel drive isn't four-wheel stop. Anyway, needless to say, I couldn't get traction back. I mean, there was nothing I could do. I had a bunch of cars behind me. And as I tried to go, I just kept going sideways and sideways and sideways. There was a car off to the right hand side with emergency blinkers, and I pulled in behind him. And I just sat there. I mean, there was nothing I could do. I wasn't going to go anywhere at all. And I looked behind me, and another car pulled in behind me, another car behind them, another car behind them. And I sat there for about 15 minutes. I tried to go every once in a while, it just wasn't going to happen. After a couple of, probably a half an hour, there's like a little tap on my door, and I walked up, and there's this guy with a cane, and an older man, older black guy with a cane. And he's like, if you moved your car, the rest of us get out of here too. I'm like, dude, I can't go anywhere. The guy in front of me, he's got his emergency blinkers on it. I can't get any traction. I'm a stick shift. And so we got out, and we went to the guy in front of me, and there was nobody in the car. He had abandoned his car and just walked off. I'm like, there's nothing I can do, because there's no, if I can get out, I could come back. And so he goes, well, I tell you what, he goes, let's put your car back. You got about a foot. We'll get like 3 or 4 people, and we'll help get you out, and then you come back and get everybody else. And I'm like, okay, sure, you got it. So we we I took my car, got 4 or 5 people push me. I got momentum. Boom, I'm up the hill. I drove all the way up the hill. It was great. Get up to the very top, and I'm thinking, man, I could just drive off. I could just go. They're never gonna, they don't know who I am. They've never seen me before. I mean, I can make it to my place. It's all downhill from here. Piece of cake. But then this whole integrity upgrade, virtue things kicks in, and I'm like, I told them I would come back. So here I am wearing Vans shoes in 6 inches of snow, heading down a hill to help other people push cars out and get them on their way. I get down to the bottom of the hill, and there is a sight I'll never forget. You got like 6 guys trying to push a brown UPS truck up this hill, and they're not having it. I mean, it's not going. And I'm just like, and the only thing I could think about was, you guys need a roadie. And at the time I was working as a sound guy, I travel on the road, and I'm like, you need, you need what I got. So I went down there, and the driver of the UPS truck, they're on the left hand or on the right hand side. So I'm like, okay, dude, when I tell you to give it gas, when I tell you to let it roll back, and then give it gas and roll back. Got it? He goes, yeah. I said, okay. So let it roll back. I said, okay, guys, ready? 1, 2, 3, push. And we push. I'm like, okay, let it roll back. 1, 2, 3, push, go. One, let it roll back. 1, 2, 3, push. On third time, go, 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 go. One, go, 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 go. And I mean, he got it. He got up the hill. Well, we worked for about the next hour and a half, 2 hours, and we pushed car after car after car, working all the way down Briley Parkway. We probably 20, 25 cars, and got them all going. Well, it's now 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. We had started at, I mean, it was already dark, but it was that time of day in December. It's probably, I don't know, 4:30, 5 o'clock when we started. It's now about 9, and there's there's four of us, and we're walking up the hill, and it's silent. All the cars are gone, all the traffic's gone. There is not anything, and the snow's falling, and you know that sound when it's just peace. There's no birds, there's no cars. It's just peaceful snow falling, and we're walking up. Guy with the cane, two other black guys. Guy with the cane said, "Well, I guess it's about time I introduce myself. My name's Pastor Todd." And one guy next to him says, "You're a pastor? Where do you pastor at?" He goes, "Well, I pastor at this church." I said, "Well, I'm a pastor over at this church." He's like, "Oh, do you know so and so?" "Yeah, I know him well." And so they're talking back and forth, and and they said, "Well, what about you?" He goes, "Well, I'm a pastor too. I pastor over at this church." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, three pastors!" And they kind of take a couple steps, and they're, "You know so and so?" "Yeah, I know so and so." "You know so and so?" And then just all three stop at the same time and look at me, and I'm like, "I'm a missionary. I just got back from Africa." And the guy with the cane, Pastor Todd, he goes, "Bet you wish you're back in Africa right now." And I'm looking at these three black guys. I'm like, I absolutely wish I was back in Africa right now. It was just the funniest thing in the world. Um, and so, we walked up the hill, with that swagger of, a guy who just did a really, really, really good job. Never seen those three gentlemen again. But so it's three pastors, three black pastors, and a white missionary who had just gotten back from Africa. And so you never know how God's going to use you or use your trip. But once again, if you saw the first part one of this, I suggest you go on a missions trip, go on a short-term mission trip, save your money up, go for 2 weeks, go love on people and help people, and do it in the name of Jesus, and get back and be changed forever. And that's what Jesus will do when He enters your life. You don't have to do anything. You're not doing it to pay Him back. You're not doing it to earn entry into heaven. You're doing it because He said, "Go." You know, He said, "Go." How do you know if you're really saved? I mean, when you get up to heaven, how are you going to know if you're really a Christian? How do you know that it doesn't matter. Just go. Anyway, I think I was going to play one more song here. I know I'm out of time. I got like seconds left. What do I have as far as, oh yeah, I was going to do this one song. And also, if you get a chance, go to my Patreon page and join up. Help me on my mission. Go ahead and send, if you can send $1 a month or $5 a month, $10 a month, that would be great. My goal is to have a few thousand people who can help me continue on with what I'm doing here with the Underground Gospel Show. So if this has convinced you to go out there or to, do something, not because it earns salvation in any way. Your debt's been paid. You're in heaven if you accept Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior. But if you feel called to go, go. Anyway, this is a great song. I'm going to try to play it with tears in my eyes and snot running down my nose. So anyway, just the prettiest sight. And that's it for this episode of the Underground Gospel Show. Thank you again. Please hit subscribe. If you feel called to send me something over on Patreon, I would definitely love it. Whether you're on watching this on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube, it's going to be on YouTube forever. So thank you so much for tuning in once again. If I hope the stories affected you in a positive way, and that you, if you feel called to go on a mission trip, I hope this answers some questions and that you can go out there. It will change your life in a great way forever. Anyway, so God bless you. God go with you, and go in peace, and go with the Lord. Anyway, let me hit some end credits here, and then we'll just call that a show. Okay, here we go.